and welcome to Tub Talk with me, Emerald. I'm super excited to be starting this series. It's going to be held right here in my bathtub. I'll always have a glass of wine, and we're just going to talk about some of the craziness happening in the world. Everything from celebrity gossip to politics to any other bullshit I can think of and that I might have an opinion on, which is a lot of things. So our first segment is going to be pouring the tea, the lemonade, and other drinks, which is really just talking about the celebrity gossip, hearsay, and what could be going on with some of our favorite people. So let's drink to that and get started. First off, the Cleveland Cavaliers just won the NBA championship. Everybody's really excited about that. That's great for the city of Cleveland. I don't think they've won something in like 50, 52 years. Like, it's been a minute, right? So, of course, all of the players are celebrating, doing their thing, what have you. The point guard for the team, Kyrie Irving, decided that he wanted to throw a yacht party. Good for him, right? Except for he decided to have a no black girls allowed yacht party. Now, I don't like discrimination in any form. I don't care what race, creed, gender, ethnicity, religion you are. It's kind of bullshit to discriminate against people based off of those things. But in particular, when it comes to somebody who is black, whose mother is a black girl, if he has sisters, they're black girls, and if he ever has daughters or if he has a daughter, they're black girls. So it's really self-hate in its highest form. And for that, Kyrie Irving, you know what? It's a bunch of bullshit. Congratulations on your ring and on your championship, but that's a bunch of bullshit. I'll stop there, and I'm going to move on to our next topic because we got a lot of things to cover this show. Second little bit of tea that I want to pour is on Miss Abigail Fisher. You know, the one who was denied entrance into the University of Texas in Austin. As I'm sure you've heard by now, the Supreme Court voted her down 5-3 that UT Austin was well within their rights to deny her acceptance into the university. They want to keep the university diverse. And frankly, Abigail, your grades are mediocre, your extracurriculars are mediocre, which leads me to believe that you're pretty fucking mediocre. So I don't know why you think you deserve to go to UT Austin over everybody else. So stay mad, Abby, bitch, bye. And I do have one more story, but I am going to give a nice little shout out to white girls everywhere because I feel like I'm going in on them right now. My homegirl Kesha is back. She's been on a hiatus. She's been going through some legal issues. She's dealing with a sexual assault case. Like, it's a whole mess. But she is touring. She's doing concerts. And in September, she will be in Music Midtown in Midtown Atlanta, which I'm hoping that I get to go to. So cheers to you, Kesha. I'm happy you're back. You're the bomb.com, girl. Last but not least, in pouring the tea, Taylor Swift and Tom Hiddleston are apparently dating. And for those of you who know me, you know that my heart is broken. And for those of you who don't know me, you know what? I can't talk about this right now. It's a very fresh wound. I thought I knew Tom. I thought he was a better man than what he is showing me he is. But clearly I don't know him like I thought I did. So I'm going to move on, and we'll talk about that maybe in another week, another episode. That's it right now for pouring the tea, the lemonade, and whatever you're drinking. So cheers to that. We've got plenty of other celebrity gossip and news coming up in the upcoming weeks, but just know that I'm going to hit on my top 3 favorites every time. So take a drink. Okay, so our top story tonight is the Brexit. Now, it's all over the news, and everybody everywhere is talking about it. And if you haven't heard about it, then please become friends with Google and look it up, okay? But I am going to give you kind of a quick rundown on what's going on. And I'm going to disclaimer this by saying I am obviously not a British citizen. I am not a citizen of any country that's in the EU. I'm an American citizen, and this is going to be a lot of editorializing based off of what I've seen here But more important for me and who I think my viewers might be, I want to draw some parallels to what's happening with the Brexit and what is happening in our current political climate and what could happen in November. So, quick history. 1, what's the European Union? The European Union is a country club. I'm going to call it that because it's literally a club of countries. It's a country club of 28 countries in Europe that formed an alliance after World War II. It was formed to help with the economic rebuild of the war. And the idea is that if you are in trade partnership, if you're in an economic partnership with another country, then you're less likely to go to war with them. Because when you think about who were some of the key players in World War II, it makes sense, right? So, 28 countries. There is a free market trade, there is a common currency, the euro, which many of you have heard of, I'm sure. Although the UK decided not to use the euro, they're still using the pound. I think about 19 countries currently use the euro. And anybody who is a citizen of one of the EU countries can kind of move and live in any other of the UE countries, or excuse me, the EU countries. So like how I just moved from South Carolina to North Carolina, nobody's looking at me twice. That's kind of the same idea. You can move from France to Spain or to the UK, nobody's really going to think twice about it, right? So, what has happened here is that in a very, very surprising vote, the UK citizens, and just for anybody who doesn't know, the UK consists of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, have voted to leave the European Union, okay? That means that their military backing with the other 27 countries is gone. That means that if they get into a financial crisis, the financial backing with the other 27 countries is gone. There's just a lot of kind of, I don't know, there are a lot of perks that they're going to be missing out on. But they said that no matter the perks, it was worth it for 3 reasons. And I'm going to go over those 3 reasons and tie them into our current economic, or excuse me, political climate, right? So the first is the money, all right? So those in the UK who wanted to leave the European Union are saying that it's too much. It's too much. The cost to be in this country club is entirely too much. So in 2014, I think the UK paid $16 billion to be a part of the EU. As with any club, everybody has to pay a portion to be a part of it. Some countries have to pay more than others. And as you can imagine, the UK is paying a little bit more than some other countries. And so there are some people who are saying, like, it's economic strain on us. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Why are we paying this money to be a part of this? We don't want to do it. Fine. I would say that the investment of, again, the military backing, the financial backing if a crisis happens, and all those other things were worth it. But, you know, who am I? I'm not in politics, right? The second thing is the rules and the laws and the regulations that countries that are members of the EU have to abide by. So, like with any group, there are regulations you have to abide by. You have to, you know, run things past, you know, the group, essentially, before you make huge decisions. And there are citizens of the UK who said, like, we should be able to govern ourselves, make our own decisions, and not have to run things past this committee, past this group, past this country club, for us to figure out what's best for our country. So we don't want that type of accountability with them. We want to do what we want to do. Fine. Again, I feel like that's silly, and particularly because the Prime Minister, David Cameron, and we'll get to that in a second, he actually got exemptions for the Brits when it came to some of the regulations of the EU, right? So they don't even have to abide by all the things that all the other countries have to abide by. But, fine. The third thing, and here's where I think the crux of the argument is, and here's where I really feel like people wanted to leave, is the idea of immigration. And listen here closely, Americans, because this has a lot to do with you. Right now, as it stands, as I said earlier, if you are a citizen of any of the EU countries, you can kind of cross the borders freely, let's say. And as we all know, there are some concerns right now regarding refugees, immigrants, and those who are migrating from certain countries, and particularly those who are darker in skin, brown people, who may have a different religion than some of the majorities in some of these countries. And there's a lot of fear-mongering and xenophobia happening right now. And so it's been argued that immigrants are taking jobs, you know, the wages are lower, there's a strain on the healthcare system, all of these things that people tend to say. Which, after talking to some friends of mine, it's just simply not true. Like, there's a minimum wage that has to be given in the UK. We don't even have that. We don't even have, you know, like a $15 minimum wage. So, like, even if there are more people coming and taking jobs, we already know that you're going to make a certain minimum no matter what, and it's a living wage in the UK, right? And it's also been shown that those who have voted to leave the EU have typically been older, have been white, and have been more established, meaning their retirement plans are in order, they own property. And so the trend seems to be that, you know, it's a little xenophobic and a little bigoted and a little racist and a little bit of all those things, right? Again, this is just me strictly speculating. I'm not saying that this is definitely what it is. This is what I think it is. The reason I think that this is so important, though, is because this is exactly what our right-wing conservative brethren and sisters are saying for this election, right? The reason they're excited to vote for he who must not be named on the Republican ticket is because, oh, the money, right? Our debt is so high. We're giving out money to all these social services, so we have to save money. 2, the laws and the regulations. Oh, the government wants to regulate how much emissions can go into the environment. They want to regulate our drinking water. They want to regulate our guns. And 3, again, the crux of the argument, the immigration. This is fundamentally about not wanting people who are not like you, who don't look like you, who don't share a similar culture or religion or God or whatever it is like you, to not be able to be your neighbor. And I can say, as a black person, as somebody who has to fight every day to prove to people that I'm just as good as them, whether I look like them or not, that is fundamentally un-American. And so, the reason I bring up the Brexit is because I want for us to learn from this. Their economy, their money, the pound is tanking right now. Okay? The stock market is tanking. Like, they're tanking their country. Scotland will probably secede. Like, they just had a vote in 2014 to stay in the UK. They're probably going to call for another vote to leave because Scotland was firmly for staying in the EU. They are breaking apart their country to prove and to stay on their laurels of their bigoted, racist beliefs. And it's absurd. And I don't want that to happen here for us. I mean, you know, I just hope that we can all show up on November 4th, vote, do what we need to do. And I will say this, something that we have learned with this election, or excuse me, with this vote, is that it was majority older people who voted to leave. Leaving the younger generation, the millennials, me, you, kind of in a shitstorm to clean up what they're leaving them with, right? Let's not let that happen for us here in the United States. Let's be smart, young people. Let's get out there and vote. And older people, be smart and think about your kids and your grandkids. And, you know, leave it better for people that are coming up behind you. Because the shit that's going on there cannot happen here. We will implode. It will tear our country apart. And we don't want that. It's already hard enough to be black or brown or woman or Muslim in America. So, you know, God save the Queen, and I'll drink to that. So here, I'm going to do something like a social justice kind of talk. I'm going to keep this short, because what I just talked about was kind of social justice heavy. But I did want to bring it back to our shores and talk very quickly about our gun reform and our gun laws. As most of you know, I hope, a mad, evil, crazy person shot up a nightclub full of people from the LGBTQIA community, full of people that are from the Latino, Latinx, Latina community. a couple of weeks ago. And it's a mass shooting like we've seen so much in this country. Where, you know, I feel like we're becoming very desensitized to it, but it still hurts. It hurts every day. And so on the Senate floor, following that, the senators staged a filibuster to try to get our Congress to pass a bill expanding background checks and making it harder for those who are on a terror watch list, who are a no-fly list, or anybody, you know, that have red flags about them to not be able to get a hold of a weapon. Nothing happened. This past week, on the House floor, Democrats staged a sit-in. Again, kind of for the same idea. Let's expand these background checks. Because we're getting sick of this. We're all getting sick of burying our cousins and our friends and our sons and our daughters and our uncles and our aunts and our moms, our dads, our nieces, whomever. We're all getting sick of it, right? And again, while it was all in good intentions, and I'm so excited that our elected officials are getting angry, nothing has come of it. So, I just want to say this. Your right to owning a semi-automatic weapon does not supersede my or anybody else's right to life. It does not. There are three things that I have a right to. I have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And life is first. And by you feeling like you have the right to walk around with a big gun to compensate for your small dick, that is not how this goes. I have a right to life. So I hope, again, come November, we are voting. And in 2 years, when it comes to our House and our Senate, we're voting for people who are going to stand up for our rights to life. I'm going to stop there because I can get real upset about this. And, you know, our time is kind of running out. So I'll leave you with this. A quick fun fact. I don't know if it's really a fun fact. I just wanted a little something for you to think about. Going back to the Brexit, I think it's really interesting that the same country that colonized, you know, 2/3 of the world by migrating there is now concerned about immigrants coming to their country. It's a little bit ironic, but you know, God save the Queen. So I'll drink to that. Thank you guys for, for tuning in to my first Tub Talk. They'll get better, they'll get smoother, they'll get more funny. I'll keep getting drunk, and you'll love it. So tune in next week, and I'll have some new topics to talk about. Please leave comments. I will take suggestions. Every now and again, I might have a guest or two, and I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.